It's just whatever you like. If you like a little bit of flavor or a lot. I'm just getting rid of some of this hardcore. You can delete that. I'm just taking out the hardcore. I don't know if you really have to, but I know they do that for stuffed cabbage, so I just thought it would be a good idea to take it out. And I'm just going to chop it up. I've already chopped some onion in here with a little bit of butter. And then I'm just going to saute this all. And then when it's done sauteing, I'm going to add some potato flakes, which you'll see later. Alright, I'm going to saute this until the onions look like they're tender. Probably should have started that before I added the cabbage because the cabbage is already soft, so I'm sure it'll turn out okay though. I forgot to mention that I boiled the cabbage this time. I just cut it in quarters and took out the huge core. The reason I'm boiling it is because then you don't have to fry it as long, and hopefully it won't get, you know, any chance of burning because it's already soft. That's what I'm trying this time. I forgot to tell you that, just to give you some idea, the cabbage weighed like 3 pounds. And I boiled it first. I quartered it. I don't know if I told you that, but I quartered it and boiled it until it got soft. Let it cool down so you could handle it. And then I put like maybe 4 tablespoons of butter in the pan and a little bit of chopped onion. And now I put the cabbage in, and I'm just kind of getting it all blended so the flavor gets together. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do next because it almost looks like it'll probably clump without putting any potato in. So maybe we'll just have straight cabbage. Alright, now I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I really don't know how much. It's more of just a preferred taste. So just sprinkle some in, stir it all up, and then give it a try. Alright, I think it's cooked well enough, and I did season it a bit. So now what I'm going to do is just let it cool. I'm going to let it cool in the pan, and then I'll just throw it in a container and put it in the fridge for later till we're ready to start rolling out the dough and putting them together. Okay, so we're cheating this time. We got some leftover dough from St. John the Baptist Church in Baden, from their pierogi making yesterday. Kept it in the fridge overnight, so now I'm rolling it out. I got this little cutter here. It's approximately close to 3 inches maybe in size, which is about what we usually use down there. So I'm going to cut out the circles for the pierogis. Okay. Alright, I just have a regular pan here, a cookie sheet with a non-linting towel. And we're going to just line up the circles on here. This is the way they do it down there at the church. Try not to let them overlap, otherwise they will start to stick together, and that makes it really hard to get apart. Okay, so here's our cabbage we made yesterday. And I'm just going to use my cookie scoop. And make little balls, hopefully, and they'll hopefully stay together. Put them on the pierogi. Alright, so now we're going to try to pinch these. Just kind of, I always wet the edges. Here, I'll show you. I'll take a new one. I always take some water and wet the edge. It helps it stick together. And then you just got to try to fold it very carefully. Try not to get any of the filling in where you're pinching. And just get it pinched together. Like so. There's a little pierogi. And again, put it back on the cloth so that it doesn't stick, because the dough gets sticky if it's sitting on something like a pan or whatever. Okay, so I'm making these this type of pierogi because my mom always said that when she was young, when she was little, they used to have sweet cabbage pierogis. So I thought, a couple of years ago, I thought I'd try it, but I really didn't know how to make them. I just fried it like we did for halushki, because that's something we always had was halushki, and that's the way I made them, which everybody liked them, but then I looked in a cookbook and saw where you're supposed to boil it, and so that's what I did. And it does make it a lot softer and easier to ball up, so trying it this way this year, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, I don't remember my grandmother making pierogis when I was little, but I do remember that when we used to come here after church when we were little, Grandma always made a big pot of chicken dumpling soup, which we always liked the dumplings better because they're yummy. So, alrighty, time to start cooking. Alright, so we're going to throw in roughly a dozen, I guess, at a time. And then once they come to the top, you're going to let them gently boil for probably 5 to 7 minutes. And then you'll take them out and cool them. Okay? Alright, so when they're done boiling, I'm going to put them into the colander and run them under cold water to cool them off, because I'm going to freeze them. Now, if you were going to eat them, you'd already have your butter and onions ready, and then you would just put them in a bowl and pour your butter and onions over, and you could eat them. But I'm freezing them, so I'm going to cool them down, put them back on a tray, probably with parchment paper so they don't stick, and throw them in the freezer. Once they're frozen, I'll take them off and put them in freezer bags and throw them back in the freezer for a later date. Okay? Okay, so as you can see, they're already starting to float. So I set the timer for 5 minutes. That's roughly long enough, I believe. So I'm going to let them boil, and then I'm going to scoop them out and put them into this colander here, because I want to keep the water because it's already hot so that I can do the rest. So that's why I don't dump them. And then I'll take the colander over there and run it under cold water. Okay, I cooled them off under the cold water, and now I'm just putting them on these back on the towel to let them dry out before I put them in the freezer.